Hey kids, welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 3 as the United Kingdom. So last episode we went through 1938. This episode we are going to go right until the start of the war. So it'll be next episode. If you want to skip ahead to the war, then it'll be next episode. We are also going to organize the Air Force, the Navy, and the Army. We're going to do all the order of battle stuff in this episode. I like to do that on, January 1st, 1939, ideally, because at the 1st of January every year you unlock all the new leaders, so we have the most possible choice before the war starts. I like to do it early on too because it's possible for the war to start early, and I want to make sure that all of my units have maximum organization. Every time you change leaders, you get your units lose some of their organization. So let's just start by, we've got all of our Air Force in one big stack here, except the carrier groups. Let's see, we have upgrades to do as well. That's another thing. We're gonna, just before I forget actually, let's prioritize upgrades. Just want to lock these down too. We can do, wait, I want to do this. And I want to lower that. We're at 99 plus spies. I wasn't paying attention to this. We probably produced a few too many spies, but that's okay. We'll save some leadership for the next year or so. And I want to, I'm going to put officers at 2. We have 3-year draft. I'd like to get this, try and get this to 100% over the course of the episode. Not 140. I will max out officers as soon as we unlock service by requirement when the war starts. Okay, so yeah, stacks. I like to make 3 stacks of interceptors. We only have 6 interceptors right now, which is not very much, but that's what we're gonna use for the time being to kind of defend over the channel and stuff. Let's put our strategic bombers in 1 stack. Tactical bombers. I'm gonna put these back as they were. We're not going to be using a lot of tactical bombers, but I'm going to kind of spread these around the Empire and have these single stacks, because lots of our colonial possessions have really low infrastructure, so it'll be useful to have kind of single stacks spread around here. Whoops. There we go. And naval bombers. And then transports. So I'm just going to name these units. I'm just giving them names that are easy to navigate. Some of them can have kind of some historical flavor. We'll call this Strategic Bomber Command. There we go. Call this Coastal Command. And we'll call this one, I don't know, Air Transport Command or something. I might want to break these up at some point and use them if I want to use them as supply planes, but I'm not sure that we'll actually need that. We'll see. Might be useful at some point, but for now I'm keeping them in one big stack because I'm going to create a core of Gurkhas, so that's what these are going to be mostly for. Alright, next thing I want to do is I actually want to create a naval order of battle. So, very, very simple one. And it's not, I'm not doing this to get the leader bonus or whatever, because you don't really get much of, we'll get a slight supply bonus from having an army group, but we'll call this the home fleet. And then we'll create another one here. We need to... Oh, I see what's going on. This guy's attached to an army. Let's do this. There we go. Call this Mediterranean Fleet. I'll do the same thing in the Pacific. Just doing all this ahead of time so that I don't have to do it on the fly as we're playing. And once again, as I've said before, I won't be doing all of my order of battle organization on screen. If we have to reorganize the army at some points, I will do that off screen, but I kind of want to show you guys how I do it just in this episode. This will be the Eastern Fleet. Okay, now, gotta organize this. This is a big mess here. So, just call this the home army for now. And where's the Army of India? Probably attached to our fleet command or something. Army of India hasn't been deployed yet. I will be upgrading some of these units, maybe upgrading them, giving them detachments. Anything stupid attached to this? Yeah. All right. Make a separate corps for the Gurkhas. Maybe. We'll see. Yeah, we're missing an infantry there, and definitely need to be adding some detachments. Okay, now we can make a landing craft squadron. Okay, and then I think I want to split up this transport group. Where is the transport group? Transport fleet. Oh god, way the fuck over here. Yeah, I'm gonna split this up after into 2 smaller groups. Give us a bit of flexibility. What a mess. Okay. This can be a corps. I'm not going to attach it to a full army structure, just give it a corps. Call this the Western Desert Command, which was a historical hierarchy. I don't think it was a corps. I think it was more like a sort of army group type command, I think. But anyway, just a little bit of flavor. Also kind of makes it easier to remember. These guys are in Africa, so they should be I'm not going to, all these units in East Africa, I'm not going to give them a unit hierarchy because that's fine where it is. Because the provinces here are really large, so if I start giving them corps or armies or anything, even an army group, to be honest, we need to be able to sort of move around very quickly here and not worry about having things out of range of their HQ, so I'm just not going to bother. Also, we're going to try and wrap up this theater very quickly. We won't be keeping anything down here. I need to send some got Gurkhas. Yeah, I need to send at least 2 divisions of Gurkhas down here so that I can wrap this up quickly. We really need the bare minimum though. If you look here, got a lot of like militia units. These Ethiopian units have really bad doctrines and tech, so we can just kind of walk through them, frankly. Okay. Alright, and I'm going to make a corps out of this, attach it to the home army. And these fleets can be attached to their theaters. There we go. Some of these are clearly attached to the wrong. Just attach the. I'll attach the garrisons directly to the theater. At some point, maybe they'll get some kind of hierarchy depending on how things go. Let's name these so that it's not confusing. What is this? Telek Anson Garrison. And this is Kota Baru Garrison. we go. And this is Rangoon Garrison. Alright. Oh, there's the Eastern Fleet. Maybe attach that at the bottom. That's fine where it is. Alexandria Garrison. We'll call this Palestine Garrison. And we'll call this one the Cyprus Garrison. Okay. Yeah, pretty good shape. I need to now attach. I'm gonna before I attach all these. What's going on here? Attach the Gibraltar. I guess Gibraltar Command will attach directly to the Atlantic Theater. Okay. Before I attach all these air units to the hierarchy, I'm going to distribute them around the world. So all the home ones can stay there for now. But maybe we'll send Middle East Tactical Command, or whatever we want to call it, to Malta. The Far East one I'll send for the time being maybe to East Africa. It's kind of good to actually make use of these TAC units because tactical bombing is one of the fastest ways to get air experience. So, you know, even if our fighters are not fighting very often, we can sort of do a little bit of tactical bombing in these areas where we're kind of not very contested. I mean, Italy is not going to deploy a huge air force, and it's not a very powerful air force, so it's not a bad idea to do that for sure. So we get those air doctrines faster. Those are good where they are. Now I am going to send. I'm going to keep 3 of these battle fleets. Why is there 13 units here? I put too many. Let's take out a light cruiser. Oh, I see what I've done. This one has more. That's okay. That's okay. That's fine. All right, we're gonna call this the Reserve Navy. I'm also using it to deploy ships. You'll notice that I don't really have, unless I don't really have a Reserve Navy. I like to use my entire navy. I don't like having, you know, endlessly swapping in and out fleets. Even if we lose a few ships or whatever, it's not a big deal. I like to have all of my naval assets deployed and in use. These ones and 1 carrier squadron and 1 submarine squadron are going to go to Malta, which is where the Mediterranean fleet is going to be based. Historically, of course, it was based in Alexandria, and they didn't move the Mediterranean British fleet to Malta until they had kind of secured Malta, and they were sure that the Italians weren't going to be able to invade it. Which was, you know, which the Italians could have done. They could have taken Malta if they had put more effort into it and not diverted more forces to Libya. They could have put all of their efforts into taking Malta, and that they probably would have been much more successful. All right, looking good. I'm going to just go speed 5 until all these units deploy. Should take a couple days. Let's take a look at diplomacy too and see what's going on with Yugoslavia. Is getting awfully close to the Axis. What's their neutrality? 71%. Not too worried. Bulgaria also has a high neutrality score. Might be a good time to stop influencing Hungary and start influencing Yugoslavia. I think that's a decent plan. It's not really necessary, to be honest. Like, all this diplomatic influencing, it's not going to make a huge difference. It's probably a waste of leadership, to be honest, but I'm doing it for a bit of historical flavor. It's not the best feature of the game. The diplomatic influence is just not, I don't find it that effective. So we are going through our upgrades, which is good. Has everyone arrived? Not yet. Oh, just this stupid submarine squadron. Alright. Let's just go through this now and attach the reserve fleet to directly to the theater, as well as the transport fleet. I wanted to split up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we'll put this one. We'll make a bigger one and a smaller one. You know what? Maybe we'll do that. This can transport, I think, a core of infantry, whereas this would be like more for tank transport. Also, might be a good idea to send one of these to the Mediterranean, to be honest. I think it's a good idea. Let's do it. Send it to Malta. Alright, now let's just go through this outliner here and attach these fleets where they belong. So maybe we can attach this to the home fleet. No, let's go directly to the theater. Just make it easier to find. These ASW squadrons attached to the home fleet. Where's the fourth one? Down here. And the carrier squadron. Alright. Well, one submarine squadron in each fleet. Not that they're going to make a big difference, but you know, submarines are they get naval experience very quickly. They sink a lot of convoys very quickly, and so using these submarines early on will get our naval experience up faster. This can be attached directly to the theater, and this one can be attached to the Mediterranean theater. Okay, and then these can be attached to maybe let's name this army. Where's that army group? Army of India. Oh, I see. It's attached in there. Okay. Let's name this Home Defense Command. And it will be kind of land forces for defending England. Not that we'll really be doing that, but mostly air forces, I think. This can be attached directly to the theater. I'm going to attach this to the home army. And it'll be eventually deployed abroad, I think, with an army. Attach these to the theater. And this is East Africa Command. Coastal Command. I'm going to attach this to the fleet. That's another interesting kind of historical thing. Early on in the war, the British had a little bit of trouble with their anti-submarine efforts and just in general, because the naval aviation, like in terms of what the RAF was in charge of and what the fleet was in charge of, there was a lot of back and forth as to who should be coordinating air surveillance over the sea, and you know, who was in charge basically, and I think there was kind of a general lack of coordination early on, which they obviously got better at as the war went on. But that was definitely an issue. So I'm just taking a look at how this order of battle looks. Malta Command needs to be attached to the theater. Yeah. What I'm tempted to do, to be honest, is actually just to put these garrison units directly in the HQ unit. That might make them slightly less effective as a garrison, but it'll save on leaders. Yeah, let's do that. Do the same thing in Singapore. It's not like I need to move these. It's not like I need to move these HQs around. I think that's good. Maybe I'll attach it directly to the theater. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's a good idea. I think we're good. Let's just take a look at how this actually looks. And then we'll do leaders. It's very important to do leaders sooner rather than later. It's looking good. Home fleet, we can close these. Just taking a look. Yeah, everything's looking pretty good. A little bit messy still, but things will start to get cleaned up as we redistribute forces around the world. Nothing is attached to the Eastern Fleet. Where is that submarine squadron? Oh. There we go. Alright, I'm pretty happy with this. Let's do leaders. I'm just going to unassign all. I'm also going to, I'm going to turn that off just for the time being so I don't go insane. I want to put my best leaders abroad, where they're actually deployed, like where we're actually likely to see combat. Let's just look at our high skill leaders. The UK has a lot of high skilled leaders. Allenbrook, Alexander, Auchinleck, Slim. I think these all go up to like level 9 or something. Gort is good. Wavell, you know, O'Connor, Mountbatten, Montgomery. Obviously, Montgomery is the, I guess, the most popular one. Let's give Montgomery the Western Desert Command, kind of historically. I think he was actually deployed in France early on. And where else do we need decent leaders? Maybe we'll put, I'll probably move these guys around, but maybe we'll put Alexander in charge of the Mediterranean theater. Maybe we'll probably move him down to an army group once we have an army group down here. This can get an old guard. In fact, I'm going to kind of distribute some of these old guards around, because I'm going to keep this as a permanent command in England. I'm also going to put some leaders on the fleet, just to honestly, just to get them out of this queue, because they're not very useful. The Atlantic Theater can have, I'm not going to give it a very high level leader. That's fine. Obviously this guy is reducing the supply consumption, but it's just barely. I mean, it's not very important. Same thing in the Far East, East Africa Command. There we go. All these old guard guys at the theater level. We're not going to have to deal with any kind of stacking penalty until quite a bit later. I'm only putting him here because I want him to get a little bit of experience. And then I'll move him around somewhere more useful after. Just looking at what we have here. So that looks good to me. I'm just gonna get all my best leaders in one little corps, because this corps is going to see a lot of action in the opening months of the war for sure. Well, once Italy joins the war anyway. Maybe I'll just put old guards for now. We're gonna get some better core leaders with multiple traits in 1940. So I will do another reorganization probably before we get into the war. Maybe I'll send these guys to East Africa. I'm not going to be too choosy about leaders. Just kind of get high-level guys. Kind of reserve the battle masters for the tanks, ideally. I also don't really want to use guys that don't have any traits, ideally. Okay, we can't give leaders to the tanks yet. I'll just promote units to core level as they get skilled. We have lots and lots and lots of leaders as the UK. We're never gonna have any shortage. We're never gonna have a shortage of good leaders. So pretty much for the rest of the game, I'll be kind of just automating. Like I'll just put it on automatic selection, and then I'll just occasionally go into the ledger and find good leaders and put them in leadership positions. That's the idea. Interceptors. Let's take a look. Our air leaders are generally worse than Germany's. It's a bit of an issue. I want to see as well. Yeah. So let's put our highest level leaders. I guess we'll give Doubting an interceptor command just for fun. It's very, very hard to increase the skill. You have to spend a lot of time in air battles and winning air battles to increase skill. And interceptors, I find, it takes a very, very long time for their leaders to increase in skill. So I want to give the best leaders command right away. Another way is you can use your tax actually to train up these guys and then switch them over to the interceptors. But I just, it's too much micromanagement, to be honest. Just never got a leader. Whatever. Again, I'm not even going to be deploying these guys for another year or so, so I'm just not that worried about that. Any other Air Force stuff? Probably just use this menu here. Strategic Bomber Commands. The best air leaders that we have are these guys. They're really, really, really good, and using these leaders, like we can just wreak havoc with strategic bombers. So that's excellent. Coastal Command, also another thing that a lot of people don't realize. Port strikes count as strategic bombing. They're in that category. They use this trait, so it's a strategic attack. Basically, so I find like it's great to use like one of these 3 carpet bomber, night flyer types. We can also do a lot of night bombing, which we will do because we have that trait. These guys are just gonna get lower level, whatever, not a big deal. I find I don't build a lot of tactical bombers as England. As the UK, we may eventually build some more, but I'll just give this guy no traits, maybe a level 2 guy. Next thing I'm going to do is our... I'm not going to name these. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is our carrier air groups. Fleet destroyer. We don't have, generally speaking, we don't have enough of these to put on all the carrier groups we're going to be building. But that's okay. I also lower the rank to 1 star because the lower the rank is, the faster they gain experience. So let's just stick... Where are we here? There. I'll use the spotters for the ASW squadrons. I may kind of rename some of these units, but I'll do it off screen. There we go. I think I'll just use a high skill, or level 2. Level 2 is fine. Okay, that's all the Air Force. Navy. Give the reserve fleets probably an old guard. Yeah, just an old guard. Whatever. You're not going to be getting any experience. Let's do the battle fleets first. You know what? No, the carrier squadrons. The carrier squadrons are going to get lots of experience. Right. So we can put some high-level leaders in charge of those. And we may merge them, we'll merge them into larger fleets later. So it's good to have these guys kind of low level for the time being, gaining skill. So yeah, I believe these two are probably going to be our best naval leaders. We got a lot of good naval leaders. Probably the best naval leaders as well with the United States. It'd be nice to get some spotters on these ASW fleets. I think we'll even use the old guard spotters, to be honest. I think it's worth it. I think the trait probably is better for sub hunting than the higher skill, especially because they're small fleets. You don't need to have super high skill leaders. Maybe we'll train that guy up a bit with some of these better ships. Okay, battle fleets. Oh yeah, these guys need to be higher rank. There we go. We'll use an old guard with what's that trait called? Blockade runner. Because transport fleets, if it gets caught by a fleet, we definitely want. What does that trait do? It disengage timer. So basically, you can disengage from combat faster, and that's a really good idea for even if it's an old guard for a transport squadron. Let's see what else we got here. These are done. Oh, this is an easy choice. We'll just grab our Seawolf guys. And all we need is these other transport fleets. You know what? I'll give that guy to the landing squadron. Yeah, I think that's good. I think it's worth it. I'm not. Sometimes as Britain, I'll build like a million small destroyer squadrons. But again, I find these ASW squadrons are more effective at hunting subs. They require a little bit more direction. Like I can't just kind of carpet patrol the whole area. But I find that they're very effective with the escort carrier at hitting subs, and it also saves on leaders. It allows us to use better naval leaders rather than having a million fleets with kind of level 2 leaders or whatever. Alright, so we are in good shape. I think the entire OOB is basically ready to go. Just gonna double check. Oh, these guys need leaders. Kind of should have saved a better leader for the Gurkhas, but whatever. Definitely running out of leaders with traits. We'll give him a commando. Alright. And then I'm going to automate leader selection. Just scroll down quickly here. Oh, yeah, just the armor. This is really annoying. For some reason, Mountbatten, the naval leader, doesn't have a picture. Maybe I can go into my game files and put one in there. Not that I care, to be honest. I'm not going to spend time looking at these little portraits, but it's really annoying to have a fleet that doesn't have a leader. It looks like I have a fleet that doesn't have a leader. Like, that's just really stupid. Oh yeah, garrisons. Well, this is easy. We're just going to take old guard defensive guys. I think we might even have enough. It's really funny to take those like high-ranking field marshals, old guards, and be like, okay, now your job is just taking care of a garrison in the jungle. I'm pretty sure that that is not how the hierarchy of the Royal Army worked in World War II. But do we have any supply guys left? Yes. Oh, these guys never got leaders. Well, I'll deal with that after. Do I have any more garrisons? Gibraltar doesn't have enough brigades, that's fine. Whatever, I'll figure it out after. Yeah, let's deal with that with East Africa Command here. Maybe I'll give these guys a chance to maybe gain some traits. Yeah, I'll put a couple no trait leaders in. Alright, let's auto-assign so that I don't forget to give leaders to the rest of our divisions. Everything's looking good. Let's send these guys abroad. They don't have all the brigades they need, but that's fine. All right, we're in business. I am going to pass all the time to get to to the war. And yeah, then next episode we'll start the war. There will be much less administrative stuff for the remainder of this series for sure. Definitely having supply issues in Africa. It's to be expected. Sometimes you can upgrade this port. Where is it? This port here. It's kind of a low-level port. I usually don't bother. Let's get these guys in position. Probably really don't need even to deploy Gurkhas there, to be honest, but I'll do it. Hopefully we'll be able to finish these upgrades. Losing a lot of money. I can cancel any supply. Are we buying any supplies? Yeah. Cancel that. Just leave that for now. Oops. Whatever. What am I doing in terms of intelligence? Counter-espionage. Let's do this. Put those radar stations to work. It's only level 5, that kind of sucks. Whatever. That's the thing with the supply, with the buying supplies. Kind of constantly purge them every once in a while. Because there's certainly nothing better for us to be buying until we actually need more resources. Did I lose national unity there? No. Okay. Germany annex Czechoslovakia. Guarantee the independence of Poland. I've actually defended Poland as the UK before. It's whoa, what happened? Oh no, okay, they just joined the Allies, that's fine. Belgium is mobilizing. Just double check that I didn't like miss something. Yeah, no, we're not at war. Sometimes sometimes Germany, I guess it's the Czechs can make a decision that causes the war to start early, something like that. It is possible if the Czechs refuse annexation. I think I've had the war start a few times as the UK. It's kind of weird because that's why I did all those leaders in January. Italy's in the Axis. Oh yeah, there's a couple techs I want to line up here. Nothing there. Oh yeah, I want this. I want this. These are really good techs. You can kind of forget about them easily, but and the thing about radar techs is that they upgrade even all those old destroyers and cruisers, like cruisers that we have. Their surface detection, air detection, and night attack. 10%. 10% night attack is just amazing. This tech basically, in terms of naval combat, if your opponent doesn't have it or has a lower level of it, you're just getting a huge, just by fighting at night, which is, you know, 50% of, probably 50% of your combat is going to be at night, right? Or maybe a little bit less. I think the AI avoids night fighting to some degree, but yeah, no, it's just it's a massive bonus, and that surface detection doesn't hurt either. Don't really need this. Everything's looking good. I'll put this up top because it's kind of out of date. I don't need it to be like all up to date or anything, but I don't want to have like a 1918 level. That's somewhat useful anyway. The upgrades are starting to finish. Officer ratio is obviously not high enough. That's good. Thing is, we've still got some techs in the queue, so we will definitely have more upgrades to do. Small fuel tank. Large bomb. So that's really good. Air launch torpedo, excellent. It's really good that we managed to get the fighter techs up to date. This is more important than our land techs for the time being. We want to. I want to be able to spread my air force kind of thinly around the world, and so having the latest technology at all times, even a little bit ahead of time. Oh, our Marines are finishing up. Excellent. Should probably have saved some. Let's call this the Royal Marine Corps. Probably should have saved some good leaders for these Marines, but maybe we'll pick some. Maybe I'll pick some out off screen. I'm just gonna attach that to the home army for now. Probably deploy them in the Mediterranean. I'm not going to defend France, as I said in a previous episode. I'm not going to defend France, but I may defend Norway. You can also defend, like, you can do all sorts. You can do whatever you want as the UK. I have found that if you send your entire land army to Poland, you can actually defend Poland. That, to me, is more effective than defending France, because if you defend France, Germany gets all this IC, and that, you know, as long as Germany is about this size, they don't actually have that much more IC than us. But as soon as they take Poland, they really do, and we won't be able to compete with Germany in terms of IC until we get Lend-Lease from the United States. There's no real way as the UK that we can, short of, you know, invading a bunch of countries all around the world or whatever. There's no real way that we can equal Germany in terms of IC. Although we can, if we're, you know, if we stay focused on technology in the way that we have, we will be able to beat them on the sea and to some degree in the air. Not necessarily over Europe in the air, but certainly where it counts. You know, we want them to be trying to bomb our fleets and, you know, having their their naval bombers ripped to shreds. Anything they try and do over... What's going on here? Why? Oh, I built an extra one. That's right. I am going to give the core Marine brigades. I find it's just better to have a Marine Corps like that. What's going on with those radars? Did I take them out of the queue or something? Oh no, they're there. Okay, good. These radars are kind of lagging behind where I would like them, to be honest. Not the end of the world, though. All these techs are finishing up nicely. Officer ratio is too low, though. Let's put this up to 5. I'll probably max it out at the start of the war. Cast pilot training, good. Looks like our air doctrines are going to be up to date as well. What's that? Have to look at production at some point. Yes, Gurkha brigades, excellent. This one's going to be... So I'll send these two... What have I done here? Send these two Gurkha divisions to Africa. Maybe here. Have I attached these to the hierarchy yet? No. All right. Things are starting to look tidier. I don't really use the air and naval outliner very often. Sometimes I do, but I prefer one of the advantages of having everything attached to the land's outliner is that if you look here, if I open the home fleet, I can see what condition they're in. The other reason I have this as a NHQ is that I may very well automate it at some point. I like to have things organized in such a way that generally speaking, I like to control as much as I can, but when you're playing as the UK, I find that you do have a lot of shit to pay attention to. And it can be useful to automate things sometimes. Getting closer to the war. A few more months. That's good. Yeah, air doctrines are all up to date. A little bit concerned about that officer ratio. I'm not entirely sure. I'm pretty sure if someone knows the answer to this, please clarify in the comments. But I am not entirely sure to what degree officer ratio affects navies and air force. My impression is that it does, or at the very least it should. It would make sense if it did. Yeah, let's just put this up to, oops, like 10. What the fuck's going on? There we go. I don't want to go above 100 because we don't really need. It's not like we have a land border to defend or anything. What do we got here? Oh yeah. So that is. Do we have the CAG for this one? Oh, we don't. That's annoying. Okay. So definitely think about putting that CAG in. Maybe we should put another escort cruiser, or sorry, escort carrier in the queue. Yeah. I'll put it in there. Maybe we'll build one more round of destroyers. So I think in August I'm going to position our fleet. At least the home fleet. That's useful. Okay, I'm gonna make a new fighter group. Multi-roles. Let's talk about multi-roles for a second. Multi-roles are generally weaker than interceptors in most respects. They do have a wider range though. I use multi-roles defensively most of the time. I like to have my interceptors at the front with, if I have an army moving across a land front, I like to use interceptors. I use multi-roles to like defend. They're perfectly good to hit naval bombers, protect our shipping. So I will increasingly be moving the interceptor units to the front as we deploy land forces. But yeah, I'll be using these multi-roles here to defend the over the North Sea. The more air cover we have, the farther we can send naval patrols. It's not a good idea to be sending naval patrols to areas where you don't have air protection, because even though there's CAGs, the CAGs are just not strong enough. What did I say I was going to do? Oh yeah, I'm going to deploy the fleet. So we can take. I like to have one fleet like there and there. German fleet, if they do send out their big capital ships, they have to pass through these provinces generally. Occasionally they'll go all the way up there, but they generally have to pass through these provinces to get around. If they're trying to get like here to attack our convoys, they're gonna go one of two ways. They're either gonna try and run through the channel, or they're gonna run up there. So I will put carrier fleet there and a battle fleet there. Yeah. Probably end up sending some of those battle fleets to the Mediterranean at some point. And that's kind of what my approach to the Navy is going to be. As soon as I have kind of established superiority in one region, I will slim down my assets in that region and send them to another. And if in terms of Germany, that means at one point I saw Bismarck and Tirpitz in the queue, so they have either finished them, which is quite early for them to finish them. They usually finish them kind of in the first year of the war or so. See, we're starting to get good military intelligence. What's our intelligence minister? I'd like to use, I think we get a Dismal Enigma guy at some point. I would like to have him in charge, because I want to get a little bit better naval intelligence. I want to know where Germany's big heavy ships are. Probably there. But you can see they don't have a very big navy, so as soon as we've knocked out, you know, these heavy cruisers, and ideally we will really be chasing after Bismarck and Tirpitz. Not because they're much of a threat. I mean, they're not going to sink the whole Royal Navy with 2 battleships. I'm sorry, but that's just not going to happen. Even if we play really, really poorly. But as soon as we sink those 2 ships, and in general most of the German heavies, we can slim down the home fleet to almost nothing. All we'll need is those anti-submarine fleets. Oof, close call. Almost ran out of Diplo points. Okay, Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. Most of our upgrades are done. Alright, I'm finally going to build that rocket test site. Wow, we actually have research leadership to spare. Let's do this. Just put them into officers for now. I'm going to start researching some 1940 techs ahead of time, but I'm going to queue those up next episode. And we have production to spare. So, let's think about what we want to do with these armies. The home army should be, let's put them all in one province, make sure they're, yeah. No, these guys can stay there. Oh yeah, so, we could fill out these armor divisions, which is a good idea, for sure, soon. But I think what's a little bit more important is that I kind of set up the Army of India. And I've got a few ideas about what to do with this. But I think that we are going to turn this into a jungle force. And it's a bit of a strange approach. Some of you might disagree with this, but I think it's fun. And I think we're going to turn this into a jungle force with Marines and Engineers. So there's, what, 12 divisions? Let's fill out that one that has fewer divisions, and then let's grab Engineers. Shouldn't take too long to build. Yeah, we'll have a mix of sort of engineers with Marines and Gurkhas, and I might throw artillery onto those Marines later. That also gives us a little bit of flexibility because I'd rather not build. Oh, that's war. All right, great. So this is the end of the episode, but I'd rather not build a ton of amphibious Marines. I just want to have that one core. But it'd be nice to have Marines that we can use if we end up like invading Japan or something. So we'll have this jungle force at the start, and we'll turn it into an amphibious force if need be. Right. So Germany declares war on Poland. The Allies join in this epic struggle for truth, justice, the United Kingdom way. These crack me up every time. I don't know like who did this, but like this is just I know if you play as Canada, it will say the Canada way, not the Canadian way, not the British way. It's insane. Anyway, all right, Germany takes the Blitzkrieg decision, and we are at war. I think I paused a little bit too late. We are at war, so that's the end of this episode. Next episode, we will get right into this. The Navy is in position. We are going to be hunting down the German fleets. Also, we're going to be establishing air superiority over the sea. That's really important. I may do some very aggressive kind of port striking. Really try and slam any German submarines. The sooner I can kind of clean that up, the sooner we can start focusing elsewhere. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this episode. I know it was a bit tedious at the beginning there with the order of battle, but there will be no more of that in this series. And we are now at war, so it should get more exciting. See you next time. Ciao.